Hello everybody, welcome to this week's teaching overview video for Sunday the 12th of April. I will be back to the usual setup hopefully next week, but for now I'm in the office. But this video is for our first session back after our break over the Easter holidays. We had a family service on Easter Sunday last week. Hope you had a good time in all your congregations, but we are back to it with the youth and children today. So because it's still half term, we still might have a few families who are away, so we might not be that busy, or we might be really busy and the kids might be really tired, or they might be really excited, so who knows. But I think we'll have a good morning. So yeah, this morning's gonna be slightly different. We're kind of just going to throw in a one-off session looking at what happened after the events of Jesus's death and resurrection before we get into like a teaching theme from next week, once hopefully all of our youth and children are back from their holidays. So yeah, today's session is going to be a one-off looking at when Jesus appeared to his disciples after his resurrection, and also looking at his ascension. So today it's going to be a bit more of a chilled session as well. Make sure to play some games with the kids and let's catch up about their Easter holidays, and then we're just going to look at the story and pick out a few points, but we'll kind of leave it at that for today, and then yeah, we'll get into a new teaching theme next week, which I'll talk about later. For Consecrate, I don't have your teaching notes here, but they're basically whatever we're doing with the kids, but in a bit more detail and a bit more reading. But Dave is going to upload hopefully the teaching notes are already uploaded. So for the youngest group, you guys are actually going to read from our very own not Jesus Storybook Bible, the Easter storybook that Dave wrote and James Copier did the illustrations for. So that's cool. I don't actually think we've read this in any of the sessions. So yeah, you guys are simply going to read the story. It's rhyming. There's obviously cool pictures, and there's little did you notice things. So you could probably do that with the older ones. I know the younger ones, it's a bit of a long story, but I think they'll enjoy it. So yeah, start from the beginning, and we're going to focus on after Jesus' resurrection, on the road to Emmaus, when Jesus appears to his disciples and shows them his hands and his feet. Jesus having breakfast with his disciples, and then Jesus going to heaven. So yeah, you younger groups can read from this. I'm going to send it in your box. If there's some visitors or kids that have never taken one of these home, then there'll be some extra copies in there. Let's give these to them to take home. And yeah, read through it and then just touch on a few of the points. The disciples that were walking on the road to Emmaus, and how they felt when Jesus was telling them about the scriptures. Maybe why couldn't they recognize him, and then they could recognize him when he broke bread with them. Just see what points the children raise, little questions that they have, and then look at the disciples who he revealed himself to, showing his hands and his feet. Why did Jesus show his hands and his feet? Let's see what the children come up with. Touching on the breakfast, and then talking about his ascension and how Jesus is alive now. We might not be able to physically see him, but he is alive in heaven with God the Father. So one day Jesus will return and we will see him, we will be with him physically, but that doesn't mean that right now he's not alive. So yeah, we just want the youngest ones to understand the story and know that Jesus is alive and he is in heaven, and was with the Father, and one day we'll be together again. And same really with the slightly older ones, but we are going to read from the Bible. I'm going to read a slightly longer passage, but so yeah, we'll read that and then just touch on similar points really. I think that's everything for the kids. For the craft, Dave is going to do a maze, which I don't have right now, but we'll have a maze. We'll have a dot to dot of Jesus showing his hands and his feet. We have a colouring, Jesus went up to heaven, and remember you have the Bible trivia cards, which I'm probably going to do with my group just to have a bit of fun. We sent out these packs of like Bible trivia quite a while ago, so you could try having a go with your group this week. Maybe if the clues are a bit hard for the younger ones, you could make up your own clues. You could play the musical statue game, but the Easter version. I know our older group really enjoys that. So yeah, let's just look at the story, touch on a few points, and then let's just have some fun catching up with the kids, playing some games, and just yeah, helping them to wrap up this Easter story in their head and understand that it doesn't just stop with Jesus coming back to life again, but actually there were things that happened after his resurrection, and now Jesus is still alive, he is in heaven, and one day we'll be with him again. So yeah, I hope that explains everything. If you have any questions, please let Dave or I know. And then next week we are going to begin a 4-week theme on in Christ Jesus. So yeah, trying to help our youth and children understand our identity in God and being a child of God. So we're going to spend a good few weeks looking at that. So I hope you have a great session on Sunday. If you have any questions, please let Dave or I know, and hopefully we will see you soon.